الو الو
أنا تعطيني لا شنو انت؟
هاي إلا بدا وصافي حتى حنا ما يصلحش. شكرا بزاف.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صباح الخير سيداتي وسادتي. الكلمة افتتاحية للدورة الثانية من المناظرة الوطنية للتنمية البشرية المنظمة تحت الرعاية السامية لصاحب الجلالة الملك محمد السادس نصره الله، تحت شعار البشرية جودة التعلمات مفتاح التنمية البشرية، يلقيها معالي وزير الداخلية الساعة. وفي الافتتاح لكم الكلمة سيد الوزير.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السيدات والسادة الوزراء، السادة السفراء، السادة الولاة العمال، السيدة والسادة رؤساء الجهات ورؤساء الجمعيات ورؤساء مجالس الجامعات الخرافية، السيدات والسادة ممثلي الهيئات الدولية، السيدات والسادة ممثلي القطاعات الحكومية، حضرات السيدات والسادة، بداية يسعدني أن أرحب بكم وأشكركم على تلبية الدعوة لحضور فعاليات الدورة الثانية للمناظرة الوطنية للتنمية البشرية. كما يسرني أن أجدد الترحيب بضيوفنا الأجانب الكرام في بلدهم الثاني المملكة المغربية، وأشكرهم على تحملهم عناء السفر للمشاركة في أشغال هذه التظاهرة، متمنيا لهم مقاما طيبا بين ظهراننا. وأود بهذه المناسبة أن أهنئ القائمين على تنظيم هذه الدورة على اختياره الموفق لموضوعها المتمثل في شعار جودة التعلمات مفتاح التنمية البشرية. حضرات السيدات والسادة، إن الراهنية الملحة والمرجعية العلمية لاختيار هذا الموضوع تجد سندها من جهة في توجهات المرحلة الثالثة للمبادرة الوطنية للتنمية البشرية، وخاصة في برنامجها الرابع الهادف إلى النهوض بالرأسمال البشري للأجيال الصاعدة من خلال تصدي مباشر وبطريقة استباقية لكافة المعيقات الأساسية التي تواجه التنمية البشرية. ومن جهة أخرى في سياق الإصلاحات الكبرى التي تشهدها بلادنا، ولا سيما فيما يتعلق بالنهوض بمنظومة التربية والتكوين بهدف الاستجابة لمتطلبات الاهتمام بالجوانب اللامادية للتنمية البشرية وضرورة تطوير الرأسمال البشري، والتي ما فتئ صاحب الجلالة الملك محمد السادس نصره الله وأيده يدعو إلى الحرص القويم على تفعيلها، باعتبارها إحدى المداخل الرئيسية والأولويات الأساسية لتنفيذ النموذج الجديد وتحقيق التنمية الاقتصادية والاجتماعية المنشودة لبلادنا. إن إشكالية جودة التعلمات أصبحت تشكل في الوقت الراهن إحدى التحديات الكبرى للعديد من الدول، وذلك بالنظر إلى نسب العجز المسجلة على هذا المستوى، والتي ساهم في تفاقمها وتعريق انعكاساتها السلبية توالي بعض الأزمات ولا سيما الصحية منها. ولعل المعطيات الوطنية المسجلة برسم الموسم الدراسي 2020-2021 خير دليل على هذا الوضع، وخاصة منها تلك المتعلقة بالتلاميذ المنقطعين عن الدراسة والمستوى العجز في التعلمات لدى الأطفال المتمدرسين الأقل من 10 سنوات، مما حال دون تطور مؤشر التنمية البشرية لبلادنا الذي لم يتجاوز 55%. وتعزى هذه الوضعية بالأساس إلى ضعف اكتساب متعلمين للمعارف الأساسية في القراءة والرياضيات والعلوم، وذلك حسب النتائج الاختبارات الدولية التي احتل فيها تلامذتنا للأسف مراتب متأخرة مقارنة بنظرائهم من الدول المشاركة، وهو ما يستدعي منا جميعا بذل المزيد من الجهود لبلورة نموذج تربوي وطني قادر على رفع التحديات الراهنة والمستقبلية من أجل توفير تعليم جيد منصف ومستدام لفائدة كافة التلاميذ المغاربة ولا سيما والمناطق النائية. حضرات السيدات والسادة، إن قضية التعلمات باعتبارها رافعة لتثمين الرأسمال البشري هي إشكالية تسائلنا جميعا، وتقتضي بإلائها الاهتمام والعناية اللازمين، وخاصة من طرف المتدخلين المؤسساتيين والمنتخبين والأسر والمجتمع المدني وكافة المجالس المنتخبة والقطاع الخاص، وذلك بغية إيجاد قطاع شأنها تجويد مستوى اكتساب أبنائنا للمعارف الأساسية وتهيئهم للاندماج بسهولة في الحياة العملية والإسهام مستقبلا بفعالية في بناء الصرح التنموي لبلادنا. وفي هذا الصدد، وتنفيذا للتعليمات الملكية السامية لصاحب الجلالة الملك محمد السادس نصر الله وأيده الواردة في خطاب العرش بتاريخ 29 يوليو 2018، حيث قال حفظه الله: فإني أؤكد على التركيز على المبادرات المستعجلة في المجالات التالية: أولا، إعطاء دفعة قوية لبرامج دعم التمدرس ومحاربة الهرم المدرسي ابتداء من الدخول الدراسي المقبل، بما في ذلك برنامج تيسير للدعم المالي للتمدرس والتعليم الأولي والنقل المدرسي والمطاعم المدرسية والداخليات، وكل ذلك من أجل تخفيف التكاليف التي تتحملها الأسر ودعمها في سبيل مواصلة أبنائها للدراسة والتكوين. ثانيا، إطلاق المرحلة الثالثة من المبادرة الوطنية للتنمية البشرية لتعزيز مكاسبها وإعادة توجيه برامجها للنهوض بالرأسمال البشري للأجيال الصاعدة ودعم الفئات الهشة ودعم الفئات في وضعية صعبة وإطلاق جيل جديد من المبادرات المدرة للدخل ولفرص الشغل. انتهى منطوق خطاب بلدي الثاني. فإن المبادرة الوطنية للتنمية البشرية في مرحلتها الثالثة والتي عرفت نقلة نوعية من خلال توجيه تدخلاتها نحو الجوانب اللامادية للتنمية البشرية، ستضاعف جهودها لدعم منظومتنا التعليمية ولا سيما فيما يتعلق بالتدخلات الهادفة إلى الارتقاء بالتعلمات واكتساب المهارات. وتجدر الإشارة في هذا الإطار إلى أن المبادرة الوطنية للتنمية البشرية حققت حصيلة جد إيجابية على مستوى مساهمتها في تنفيذ برنامج التعليم الأولي خلال الفترة الممتدة ما بين 2019 و 2021، بحيث تم إحداث مجموعة من الفضاءات لاستقبال الأطفال المنحدرين من الوسط القروي، بالإضافة إلى خلق العديد من فرص الشغل القارة لفائدة المربيات والمربيين وتوفير التكوينات الضرورية لفائدتهم. كما دأبت المبادرة الوطنية للتنمية البشرية منذ انطلاقتها على المساهمة في إنجاز وتدبير دور الطالبة والطالب التي تمكن من إيواء التلميذات والتلاميذ المنحدرين من أوساط محدودة الدخل في العالم القروي، ناهيك عن اقتناء أسطول لحافلات النقل المدرسي بهدف تحسين ظروف التمدرس وضمان الولوج إلى المؤسسات التعليمية بشكل يومي وفي ظروف جيدة، علاوة على تقديم دروس الدعم المدرسي بالمجان لفائدة تلاميذ المستوى الابتدائي في المجالين القروي والشبه الحضري، بغية تقوية الكفاءات الأساسية وتجويد التعلمات في مادتي الرياضيات واللغة الفرنسية، بالإضافة إلى تمكين أزيد من 4.5 ملايين طفل وطفل سنويا من اقتناء المقررات والكتب وباقي اللوازم المدرسية في إطار المبادرة الملكية مليون محفظة. وعلى الرغم من الانخراط القوي للمبادرة الوطنية للتنمية البشرية في دعم المجهودات الجبارة التي يبذلها قطاع التربية الوطنية والتعليم الأولي للرفع من مستوى جودة التعلمات، فإن الواقع لا يزال يشهد عجزا ملموسا بهذا الخصوص، مما يؤثر بشكل سلبي على مؤشرات التنمية البشرية ببلادنا. حضرات السيدات والسادة، إن تنظيم هذه التظاهرات يشكل بحق فرصة مواتية لكافة المشاركين ولا سيما الفاعلين في ميدان تثمين الرأسمال البشري من أجل دراسة وتحليل كافة الجوانب المتعلقة بإشكاليات التعلمات وإيجاد سبل والآليات المبتكرة الكفيلة بالرفع من جودتها في ظل التحولات والمتغيرات العديدة التي يشهدها العالم في وقتنا الحاضر. وإنني على يقين من أن أشغال هذه المناظرة ستتوج بإقرار توصيات علمية وعملية فعالة من شأن تفعيلها المساهمة في الجهود المبذولة للارتقاء بمنظومتنا التعليمية وتمكينها من تكوين وإعداد أجيال قادرة على رفع التحديات التي ستواجه الأفراد والمجتمعات والدول. وإذ أجدد الإشادة للاختيار الصائب لموضوع هذه المناظرة، فإني أؤكد عزم المبادرة الوطنية للتنمية البشرية الراسخ على جعلها موعدا سنويا وفضاء مواتيا لتشجيع النقاشات والحوارات الهادفة والبناء حول المواضيع الراهنة ذات الصلة بالتنمية البشرية وتحفيز التفكير وتعميقه حول مختلف الإشكاليات المطروحة، وكذا ترسيخها كمحطة أساسية لتجديد وتعزيز الدينامية والتعاون القائمين بين مختلف الفاعلين والفرقاء المعنيين بالتنمية البشرية بصفة عامة والرأسمال البشري بصفة خاصة. وفي الختام أسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يعينكم ويكلل أشغالكم بالتوفيق والسداد. وفقنا الله لما فيه خير بلادنا تحت القيادة النيرة لصاحب الجلالة الملك محمد السادس نصره الله وأيده، وقرحينه بولي عهده صاحب السمو الملكي مولاي الحسن، وشد أرض جلالته بسنه صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير مولاي رشيد، وبكافة أفراد الأسرة الملكية الشريفة، إنه سميع مجيب. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
سيد الوزير، شكرا على كلمتكم وعلى تقييمكم للتحديات التي يواجهها بلدنا من أجل النهوض بتعليم تتبعه الجودة والتميز. رسمتم خريطة الطريق، فلنتوكل على الله وتنطلق أشغالنا. والبداية بشريط قصير يلخص مدى التحديات والمبادرات التي تهم التنمية البشرية والتي ستشكل صلب المواضيع المبرمجة في نهارنا هذا. الشريط فيديو. Mesdames et messieurs, on a eu là l'ensemble des mots-clés qui caractérisent l'engagement pris pour un capital humain encore plus performant, encore plus engagé. Alors tout à l'heure, quelqu'un me disait, vous avez du beau monde. Je dis, nous avons aussi un très beau sujet, une très belle thématique. Je rappelle qu'il y a dans la salle plusieurs ministres, des représentants des commissions permanentes du Parlement et de la Chambre des conseillers, des présidents et directeurs des instances constitutionnelles, des walis, des gouverneurs venus de toutes les régions, des présidents de régions, des maires, des représentants d'élus, des ambassadeurs, représentants d'organismes internationaux et experts, des présidents d'universités, des présidents d'établissements publics en charge de la partie éducative, des représentants d'administrations centrales et territoriales, la société civile, les représentants des médias et plusieurs autres participants. C'est pour dire que l'éducation est l'affaire de tous. Et l'INDH, depuis son lancement, M. le ministre l'a rappelé tout à l'heure, un engagement sur la précarité et l'exclusion sociale, et puis très rapidement, à partir du 19 septembre 2018, un engagement sur le capital humain de manière encore plus renforcée. Et nous voilà aujourd'hui à célébrer ou à organiser ces rencontres, ces deuxièmes assises. Je rappelle qu'elles avaient été organisées pratiquement le même jour, le 18 et 19 septembre de l'année 2019. Bien entendu, la pandémie est passée par là. Objectif, mobiliser les acteurs, explorer les pratiques et les méthodes, c'est ce qui va se passer aujourd'hui, et donner de la visibilité aux activités qui sont aujourd'hui engagées par l'INDH pour l'amélioration justement et le renforcement du capital humain. La thématique choisie aujourd'hui n'est pas anodine, elle concerne l'amélioration et de la qualité des apprentissages. Je pense que c'est un élément fondamental. Toutes les interrogations liées à notre système éducatif, c'est non pas sur sa structure et son engagement, c'est sur la qualité du rendu. Et vous verrez que pendant toute la démarche de la journée d'aujourd'hui, il sera question d'échange, d'expérience, de partage. Il y a comme objectif principal la valorisation du capital humain et la structuration de toutes les démarches qui concernent la partie éducative. Alors, bien évidemment, l'organisation de la journée se déroulera de manière assez dynamique avec des keynote speakers qui vont venir nous apporter des contributions majeures par rapport à des expériences internationales. Et nous aurons 4 principaux panels. Le premier concerne l'élève, parce qu'il est au cœur de la préoccupation, au cœur de l'engagement de tous. Le deuxième concernera l'enseignant, parce qu'il est l'acteur en charge de la mobilisation, du transfert de connaissances et du partage. Bien entendu, le troisième panel concernera l'établissement scolaire, son environnement, direct et indirect, puisqu'il y a plusieurs parties prenantes qui sont impliquées. Et on terminera, bien entendu, avec l'engagement des politiques publiques, avec ceux des ministères et des établissements qui sont en charge de la politique éducative au Maroc. Voilà, on terminera bien entendu avec une synthèse qui sera présentée par M. Loueli, directeur général de l'INDH. Alors, pour démarrer cette rencontre, une ouverture sur une expérience très très originale, puisque Madame Rukmini Banerjee nous vient d'Inde. Elle a été très impliquée dans le changement et la transformation de l'éducation et du système éducatif dans son pays. Et on sait qu'elle est économiste de formation, elle est retournée en Inde en 1996 et depuis, dans le cadre de la fondation Pratham, elle y a apporté un changement majeur. Et cette expérience de Madame Rukmini est aujourd'hui très inspirante pour notre pays. Il y a un travail qui se fait et on va l'écouter, on va avoir son intervention sur l'expérience en Inde, sur ce qu'elle partage avec nous aujourd'hui. Et je voudrais qu'on l'accueille. Ms. Rukmini Banerjee, please join me. Dr. Rukmini Banerjee, the attendance is more than glad to hear your keynote and to understand more about your assessment, where schooling doesn't mean learning, and conviction that all countries can improve their education. So outcomes is they put learning at the heart of the public policy actions. Dr. Rukmini, the floor is yours for at least 35 to 40 minutes. Thank you. Thank you.
Marhaba, namaste. It is a huge honor for us from India to be able to come here and share our experiences of what we have been trying. I don't know much about other countries, but I think that some of the experiences that we are having here, I think may have some relevance for other countries, especially yours. So my topic today is, of course, about children. And the organization that I work for is called Pratham, which means primary or priority. And so everything I say will be about young children, because we have most experience only with the children who are in primary school. And I will share with you for a few minutes what we have learned, and let's see if that is of use to you. So let me start with the idea that first of all, do we have every child in school? Now we are a big country, we have 250 million children, and it is a big job from all over the country to get children into school. But as you can see here, that if we look at our elementary school age group, which is 6 to 14, for many years now, almost, I would say, almost close to 15, 20 years, we have managed to keep more than 90% of our children in school. The numbers are closer to 95%. So it's just that last 5% that still needs to be brought in. Even though we had a bad experience last 2 years with COVID, the recent numbers also show that children have been very keen to come back to school. And the reason I bring this up, because I think that today when many countries have achieved high enrollment, we should not underestimate what it took to bring every child into school. And so for us, at least in India, this is an example that very big challenges can be done, can be successful. And for a success like this, it is the government, it is families, it is communities, it's people. When you come together, then I think big things happen. And so this is a reminder that we have all done big things in the past, and therefore we are ready for the next big thing that we have to do. So what is the next big thing? Now, in our languages in India, very often schooling and learning are the same word. I don't know in Arabic or in other languages what is the word for education. But it's interesting because for us, what we say is that you go to school and you do lekha pora. Lekha pora in many Indian languages means reading and writing. So my next question is, we have almost all children in school, but are our children learning? And this is some data from India. And you can see that the two lines that I have put here, the blue one is, can you read a simple story? A simple story at a second grade level, maybe 8 or 10 lines, simple words, in your own regional language. And the green line is to look at what kind of arithmetic can you do. For us in India, by the end of second grade, which is maybe you are 8 years old, you should be able to do 52 minus 18 quite easily. You should be able to do numbers at least up to 100 with no problem, and sometimes higher. But you see that here, our numbers for these things are low. They are under 30%, even before COVID. I leave 2020 because we had no measurement at that time. And right now, in 2022, if we go back to our schools, it is possible that both the blue and the green may be lower than it was in 2018, because we had 2 years of children not being able to go to school, and also not opportunity to learn, and probably forgot and did not practice things that they knew. And so this big question mark, we will find out, but that does not mean that we can't plan ahead. Now, if I look at this, ideally, at our new national policy, we have a new national policy in India, which says that by the end of second grade, beginning of third grade, we want all children to have foundational literacy and numeracy skills, basic reading and basic arithmetic, which means that these two lines, blue and green, have to go much closer to 100 and do it quickly. Why quickly? It's because if you don't have these basic foundations in place, you cannot build a big building on top. In fact, our new education policy has a little box, and I was talking to somebody in our government saying, let us take that text and put it in billboards across the country. It says that if you don't achieve this, by the time the child is in third grade, the rest of our policy is irrelevant. And so it is our biggest national task, as far as I'm concerned, to push these two blue and green lines very quickly to as high as they can go. And it's clear that if you want to make a big jump like this, business as usual will not do. simple step-by-step movement will not do. We can see in our past that these numbers in the last 10 years haven't changed. So what is it that we can do to move the needle quickly? And I want to share with you some of the things that we've been doing. The children who are in first and second grade right now have, I think, had a very interesting background. In India, our children in first grade have never had any exposure to preschool or to school. Similarly with children who are in second grade. Those who are in third grade had a few months before the lockdown happened. So in many ways, we have to figure out what to do with these children because our curriculum, our teaching methods, our materials are all designed for children who had a few years before they came up to third grade. But that is not what the children today have had. Now, a lot of different efforts are being made for the young children. But I want to focus on what do we do with children who are already in school but not going ahead. Now, before we go to that, I wanted to just take a little bit of time on what do we mean by reading. Most of you cannot read this, but don't worry. Many of our parents cannot read it either. But you can tell, like our parents can tell, there are letters, there are simple words, there is a little paragraph, like a first grade, first time reading kind of text. And then there is this story, which is actually a very simple story, written with very simple vocabulary. And what we do when we begin our work is to look at where is every child on this map. It doesn't matter what age you are, but where are you on this map so that I can start at the level at which you are and then move ahead. So if I take that and I put it all on India, where do our children fall? And I'm using 2018 because even before COVID we had a problem. And during COVID it may have gotten worse. But there is a lot of data, and I know that the minister spoke about evidence-based. I think if we have information, we can use it to start planning ahead. So to understand the problem, you can see what we have here. A couple of things I want to point out. If you look at any grade, you will see there is big variation in the grade. At grade 3, only 27% children are at grade level, which means that after 3 years of school, we have already left behind 70% of our children. Think about what that means for the country. It is only those who are in this 27% who have a chance to go on to high school, who have to go on to college, to go on to university, to go on to high productivity jobs. But I think 8 years old is too early to leave anybody behind. In our own families, my own children are quite old, I still feel that there is potential and we can take them forward. So 8 or 10 is too early. We have to ensure, both in my country and in the world, that nobody is left behind so early, and that we need to build our systems to be able to support them. So overall levels are low. Even in grade 5, you can see that only half the children who are enrolled for 5 years of school are able to read the simple story, which means 5 years of expenditure and less than 2 years of value. We have to make this that for every year in school, you get a big jump up as you go further. And so, not only are learning levels low, but you can see that the variation in each grade is quite high. So if I was a teacher in 5th grade, who would I be teaching? In my country, and I'm not sure what it is like in yours, tomorrow I will have an opportunity to go to your schools. In our country, the 5th grade teacher brings the 5th grade textbook, and she starts teaching from chapter 1. The textbooks assume that you have done more or less okay up to grade 4, last chapter. And so in 5th grade, she starts teaching from there. But look at my 5th grade. Maybe in that 50%, there are children who are at grade level. Some maybe a little bit lower, but at least they know how to read. But I have like a 6% and almost a 12%, 18% who are not even able to read words yet. And those children are getting a very long, complicated 5th grade material to read, and so on and so forth. So the main point that I wanted to bring here is that reading levels are low, wide variations in each grade. Even before COVID, our situation was not good, and most likely, and I'll show you a little bit, that the pandemic has made it worse. So think of my teacher faced with this classroom. Who should she teach? And just by default, she ends up teaching those who are at the top of the class, those who are sitting in the front of the rows. And those are the children who go behind. And in my mind, I always think of the people at the back who are looking out of the window, who are waiting for the bell to ring, who will go out and play, and maybe tomorrow may or may not come back to school because they feel what is happening in the classroom is not for them. It is only for the people who are sitting in front. I don't mean it for this room, because I know people at the back are listening as well. And so, we have two big tasks. I say this for India, but I think it is true for everyone. The first big task, especially today, how do we build foundations well for the children who are just coming into school, 1st grade, 2nd grade, and how do we help those who have already been in school to catch up? And the catch up that we are talking about is very basic to begin with. Learn to read with comprehension, learn to express yourself, learn to do simple arithmetic operations, but then go far beyond that. Because I think what our schools require is much, much more beyond that. But if you don't have the first step in place, you are not able to really build further. And for the teacher, if everybody is not towards that side, if everybody is not able to read, then her own efforts are diluted, because it's very difficult to teach when you know that more than half the class is not getting what you're saying. So this is really, if I was to summarize the challenges in front of my country, these are the two challenges that we have today. Now I want to give you some concrete examples, because it is important to know that some things that have been tried and where they failed or succeeded. So I'm going to take one state in India called Karnataka, and if you see the percentage of children who can read the story, 2014, 16, 18, low, grade 3, as I said, almost here 80% kids already left behind. This is a state which has our high-tech businesses in it, which means that there is a 20% that is going far, but there is an 80% who's not going to go anywhere. And then along comes COVID, and you see that the number drops, and it's dropped to half. The state government in this state was very ready. The whole time that our schools were closed, we were closed for almost 2 years, they were planning what to do the minute the gates opened. In your video, I love the way the gates opened and all the children came rushing in. Because I think that that moment is very true even right now. Because we have been deprived of going to school, I think there's a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of strong focus to say when the kids come back, and now that the kids are back, we have to do something quite different. So the state government here was ready to implement a program. I will show you what they did, but prior to that, I want to just take you back. I don't know if I can go back, yes. So if you look at this slide, I want you to just look at one or two more things. My friend Fred is going to speak in the next session to explain how we changed the situation. But if you look here, in India, as in perhaps many other countries, our school systems are organized by age and grade. So if you're 8 years old, you're in 3rd grade. You're 9 years old, you're in 4th grade. 10 years old, in 5th grade. So in a way, each row on this table is the way that the school system is organized. And you see that in each row, there is huge variation, bringing the challenge that the teachers have to handle. And for each grade, we have a curriculum from before, which says what is the expected level at which you have to read. And in our school system, the teachers proceed by delivering the age grade curriculum every year. And that is what creates this, because the curriculum, I think in many cases, is overambitious. There is a very, very good paper in economics written by an economist who used to be at Harvard, called the negative consequences of overambitious curriculum. And I think this is a very good example of that. But that's the way our system is structured. Now, whether it is because of COVID or because of other national priorities, huge amounts of new resources may not come into the education system, but we still have a very fundamental human development problem to crack. So what would you do? And I know there are many important and influential people here. What would you do to turn the system around using the resources that you have and bring about a very different situation? So the basic thing that we have been doing for grades 3 and above, we call it teaching at the right level. That is what it's called in English. And what it really means is move away from teaching by rows to teaching by columns. So if you see, if I take all the children here who can't read letters or cannot read words and put them together, there's quite a lot of children across all these 3 grades. If I take children who can read words but not sentences, across these 3 grades, I will find quite a lot of children. So if I have 3 teachers in my school for grade 3, 4, and 5, they were dealing with each row before and struggling. Now, if we group this age group as one big age group and have teachers actually teach by level, we see tremendous progress in a short period of time. Not surprising, in our own homes, that's how we teach our children. If you have a son or daughter who is struggling, we put aside the school curriculum, we find out what the problem with the child is, and start from there and go onwards. If I can do this with my own children, why can't I do it with all the children in my country? And so let me show you what one of the state governments did. This is a large state at the average level of India. We have close to about 40,000 schools in the state. The data here is from almost all of them. Close to 1 million children. They started the minute schools opened in January, and they got about 60 days. There was some disruption because Omicron came and they had to shut some schools. And they could not keep the schools open in the summer because this year in India it was very hot. So they had about, I think, 60 to 70 instructional days, 1 hour for reading, 1 hour for math, and even if you're at the back and can't see the numbers, you can see that the way the green has grown. The green has gone from about 50% at the baseline all the way to more than 75% in a short period of time. So in a normal year, the year-on-year growth is quite low. But if you are able to put your curriculum aside even for 2 hours a day, group the children by their level, and move them with the help of teachers, I feel you can have big changes in a short period of time, and this is an example of how a big state in India did it. In many ways, I feel that the opportunity we have today, which is that there is a recognition that we have a learning challenge, there is willingness to work on it. We have parents who during COVID have worked with learning with children at home. We want to try new ideas because there's a big jump to be taken. And I think that this kind of a focus can really change the destiny, not just of individual kids, of all the backbenchers in our countries who are looking out of the window and then going out to play because they thought their class was not for them. You can turn them around and make it all green, which means that the foundation is strong and we can have much higher buildings built on it. And perhaps if we do this, we can come back to a position, at least in India we feel this, which was better than where COVID left us. So this is a moment that I feel is a very precious moment that we have to use in whatever way we can. We need some children in this room. You had beautiful children from Morocco. I come from a country of movies, so I have to show you a little small clip before I go. But I wanted to also take this time to say that during COVID, when schools were closed for so long, we were able to appeal to the youth in our country, to the young people who are in school and college. We knew you could not bring large numbers of children together, but we could appeal to young people to say, in your own neighborhood, can you work with children who are, maybe 10, 12 children together, and work on them on these very basic skills. And we had an overwhelming number of young people who came forward, who were able to help children move one step or two steps, even in a month's time, with very little extra resources. So I think we have the school system, we have the government, we have experts, but we also have ordinarily common people everywhere who, if asked to participate in a nation-building effort at this time, I think will come forward in large numbers. The method that we use is called teaching at the right level, and it sounds good in big meetings like this, because it sounds very, it sounds like it's got a good name. But in our own language, we call it Kamal. Now, Kamal means, in many Indian languages, magic or amazing. Because I think what we need to do is to do Kamal, magic, amazing, to show children that they don't have to be back there, that they can learn very quickly. And I think that when you see children improving, just like when there is a baby at home that begins to walk, it causes so much happiness for everyone. Everyone wants to show off that the baby in my house is walking. When children learn how to ride a bicycle, it is a cause for celebration for everyone. And I think today for learning, we need this magic to happen, and we need it for everyone to feel that they contributed towards this magic changing the future of all our countries. So I'm going to stop. There is a video. It's not a very good video. I took it on my own phone. I'm not a filmmaker. But I think it captures some of this magic that I think can happen in every part of the world. And so I will leave you with that film. And thank you. We say shukriya, you say shukran for listening to me.
It is amazing. And you have said teaching at the right level. You have said also Kamal. Kamal means also the top of the beauty in Arabic language. It's the top of the beauty. And so just to finish, one question. What is the key factor to activate in order to rebuild the confidence of the citizens in the educational system, according to your experience?
So I think one is to understand the problem. Because if you understand the problem, then solutions will come. The second is, I think, to have faith in ourselves. We have, as a civilization, solved many problems. This is just a little reading and math problem. We can come together and solve it.
So you will be visiting some schools in Morocco.
Yes.
I'm not surprised that you will find some of the kids talking Indian. Because we were so inspired by movies from India, and we are more than glad to get you here because the experience of India will be interesting, knowing the success of Indian students in all the universities in the world.
But we would like to request you that next year we take a film from Morocco like this to show in India.
So we are all invited.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much for your experience. It was amazing. Thank you. So we will have, on va avoir un moment de pause dans quelques minutes. Merci beaucoup pour votre présence à tous. On se retrouve dans une vingtaine de minutes avec comme objectif de nous attaquer au premier axe qui est le panel 1, l'élève. Donc tous ceux qui sont intéressés par cela devront être présents dans 20 minutes. Et comme en classe, on fera l'appel. Merci.